Hello, I'm Michael Fritz, student at Liberty University, and this is my presentation on the best screencasting software to utilize for educational purposes, whether it be elementary, high school, higher education, and beyond. So this is a little brief tutorial of what we're going to be talking about today. I always like to understand why before I go into anything. So first we're going to talk about what screencasting is and how to determine what the best actually is. I'm going to do a little compare and contrast between Screencastify versus Loom, which are pretty popular softwares. I'm going to talk about Screencast-O-Matic, which is the one that I'm actually using today, and a lesser known one which many of us probably already have right in our hands or in our homes, and that's the iOS built-in screen recorder. So first things first, what is screencasting and how can we best determine what's best? Well, according to author Thomas in 2017, screencasting was capturing audio from those using the app or software, as well as video, what written material is or presented on the screen, essentially what I'm doing right now. By the year 2021, another author, Bush, had dived a little deeper to determine that screencasting as a technique where you can use a computer screen, capture video, audio recording is being made simultaneously. So this was more on the educational forefront, that it was a way for students to receive oral feedback in conjunction with written corrective feedback. Now, all this really is dependent on what you want to do as a teacher and how you intend to use software, so that way you can help determine what is best for your curriculum. And really what it boils down to is whether or not we are doing asynchronous versus synchronous learning. Another terminology is flipped versus blended learning. We'll get more into that in a little bit. So first we're going to go over Screencastify versus Loom. Now, really the thing that stuck out to me the most here was Screencastify, and its educator's free version was 5-minute video limit. But you could also save these files to your Google hard drive, which a lot of people already have, and it's not stored on some other site, which is where Loom comes in. So Loom, although it's unlimited video, the videos are all stored on the Loom site, and it's its own individual software. So really, right at the bat here, it's whether or not you want a limited amount of time versus an unlimited amount of time, and how you intend on utilizing your video presentations with Screencastify. It's pretty much multi-platform. You can use it through Google, YouTube, Edpuzzle, Google Classroom, Gmail it, everything. You can create different files, formats, and all that stuff. Now with Loom, again, although it is available on an iOS app, it's just limited to that server, but it kind of gives you that synchronous type learning that we were talking about before. So we'll dive into what that really means here in a second. But synchronous means that, or with this Loom capability, you're going to be able to view, make comments. Viewers can leave different reactions. They can also screen capture that information, write their own notes on top of it. And really, it's like an offline use versus real-time use thing between Screencastify. You do it first and then present it. Loom, you do it first and present it, but then there's a multi-interaction going on. Screencast-O-Matic is actually the one that I'm using now. And really what this allows is that flipped versus blended learning that we were talking about, that I mentioned before. So with flipped learning, Well, let's go over blended learning first. Blended learning is going to allow us to have students utilize this part-time between in-class versus out-of-class, but flipped learning is essentially, as per authors Fisher et al., our flipped learning is going to allow us to individually engage with content materials over pre-recorded lectures, prescribed readings, study guides, interactive videos, simultaneous simulations and cases, and in-class interaction and engagement. So really we're talking about just reading it and taking it to class, or having multi-format capabilities. Screencast-O-Matic is mostly asynchronous, but allows for a synchronous feel through our ability to real-time utilize some of the features. We can write on the material if we wanted to, and we could let our students write notes and interact with us in an asynchronous way. Again, getting down to that definition between synchronous versus asynchronous. Synchronous, as illustrated by an author, Schraderer, is asynchronous. Online learning allows students to view instructional materials each week at any time they choose, whereas synchronous is at a certain time, certain place, specific time each week, but it is a interactive learning mean. Now, I went ahead and forwarded an iOS built-in screen recorder because it's a lesser known screencast that we have at our fingertips that a lot of people probably don't realize they have. So again, most people have either an iPhone or an Android. That's pretty much it. I don't know the percentages, but a lot of us have them, and it's already built-in software and allows us to create basically a classroom wherever we want, whenever we want. And it's already pre-installed, and it can be utilized with any other iOS softwares, any apps that are on the App Store. So again, going back to being able to upload to Google Classroom, which then you can use on Screencastify. That's where you kind of see the limitations between if you're using something like Loom, where you can only utilize it for that server, where that could come into a problem. So really, at the very end, it boils down to what exactly you want to utilize for your curriculum. Today, these are all the references that I used today. We utilized author Thomas, screenshotting to support effective teaching practices, Bush using screencasting to give feedback for academic writing. We utilized some of the pictures from CNET, also Schreider from the Ohio State Online. Miller was EdTech comparison tool. That was the Screencastify versus Loom. Lowenthal gave us some insight on investigating student perception of screencasting style. Down at the very end, screencasting as a teaching strategy by author Stuckey. Now, essentially, what I just want you to know is that I utilize Screen-O-Matic for this, for my specific presentation. But Screencast-O-Matic and Loom and Screencastify, they all have their individual uses that could help you. And it really boils down to what exactly you need to utilize for your curriculum. My favorite and ease of use is Screen-O-Matic, and yeah, I hope you enjoy the presentation. I hope you have a nice day.